Hey, you out there. I hope you're staying warm and safe from the snow out there. I'm coming to you today from not the Appalachian woods, but inside my cozy home in the Appalachian woods because we just got several feet of snow. So I hope that you're all safe from that snow out there and safe in your cozy homes as well. I did want to get a message out there today, though, because there's a song that has just been running through my head day and night this week, and so many things to unpack about it. I think that a lot of us are dealing with some of the themes of this song. So, as promised before, I will do some non-Americana songs, but that's been kind of a theme for me the past year or two. I've been in that area of my favorite music genres. So, at any rate, the one that just keeps running through my head is Chris Stapleton, Starting Over. So, great song. There's a lot of themes in the song. I think it's going to speak to many of you out there who are thinking about making a change in your life, or you feel like you're at a point in your life where you've realized that you want something to be different, or that there's something that you aspire to, and maybe the place, people, things around you aren't exactly where you see yourself or where you want to, and you want to start over and make sure that your life is designed to include the people, places, and things that are the most dear to you and that are going to bring you the most joy and the most good in your life, make you your highest and your best person that you can be. So at any rate, there's two parts, the beginning of the first and second chorus, that just keep running through my head like crazy this week. So I want to tell you both of those, and then I'll go into a little detail about the things that I've channeled this week related to this song or that it inspired. So at any rate, first part is something I think we can all, many of us will relate to. This will resonate. So this one is... well, the road rolls out like a welcome mat to a better place than the one we're at. I ain't got no kind of plan, but I've had all this town I can stand. That one is so me. I'm back living in my hometown, and it's sometimes just so painful and so stifling. When I've traveled to other places, lived in other places, I've even been sick less frequently. My mental health has improved. Sometimes you hit a point where you realize that the place where you are, or the people, places, and things around you are just limiting you. They're keeping you from being what you want to be and from doing the things that you want to do. And maybe these things are just weighing too much on you. Maybe they're making you resonate with an older version of yourself, who you used to be, and any of the past incarnations of your current lifetime. Maybe you're around your family and friends and people you grew up with, and they just will never see you as anything but who you were as a kid, or who you were as a teenager, or the mistakes you made in your 20s. So we've all been there. Maybe you had a failed marriage or relationship and it was public, and people know about it, and they don't know the whole story, but they see you as that you that they've put in that box. And when you're around that, and that's literally your entire environment around you, it's really hard to break out of those projections that people put on you of who you are. Especially, it's painful when that doesn't align with who in your heart you know you are. So I want everybody to make 2026 the most amazing year of your life. I want you to go after the goals and find the people, places, and things, starting with finding yourself and figuring out what makes you happy. Just follow. It's kind of like, so many people talk about this, but it's I guess probably the most well-known one is, it's a big Bashar theme. Follow your passions. So if you're not sure, if you lost your job this year, if you lost your home, lost your marriage or relationship, if things changed this year and you felt maybe you've been thinking about making a change for a long time, but you hadn't acted on it yet, and then maybe something happened this past year or so, past couple years, that was your tower moment, that knocked you out of where you were in that comfortable spot. But even though it seemed horrible at the moment, If you gain a little perspective and hindsight, you can look back and say, well, I lost that job, I lost that home, I lost that friend, I lost that relationship, I lost that whatever. I'm not in my hometown anymore. I'm not around my family. I'm not in a familiar place. Whatever changed, I think a lot of you might feel deep inside that even though it might have been a harsh and a difficult change, and you might even be in horrible debt, you might be struggling right now, but if you stop and think about it, you can probably find the silver lining in that the things that you lost were lost because they weren't right for you. And maybe you even asked for a change. Maybe you asked for some sort of change and said, hey, I am not happy with where I am. I don't resonate with this current version of me. I feel like there's something more for me out there. There's something I haven't achieved or reached yet. I have goals. I have this pull and this drive. Maybe you have something you've thought about doing since you were young, or since your college days, or since your 20s, since your first jobs. Or maybe as you've gotten older, you grew and you changed and you evolved into something that just didn't resonate with what you were already doing and the life you'd already built. So some people are really sure from a young age. Some people might have, like in my case, I've always been really sure, but I've had these blocks or these phases of my life where I just radically changed everything about my people, places, and things, and what I was doing in life. And so I'm going through one of those now too. I just recently left behind a 26-year career and was doing really well in that, and left it behind to live in poverty the past year and a half while I was trying to establish myself in the new area. And I'm still working on that. Things are definitely getting a lot better, but that's one thing you have to realize, is that if there's something in you that's yearning for a change, or something that you want to be, to embody, to have in your life, to experience, then if you ask, if you're trying to manifest a change, or say, if you ask your maker, if you ask God, or ask whatever you believe in, your higher power, or even your support system around you, I need help to make these changes. I am not happy. I'm not content. And that might look different. You might have an awesome job. You might look like you have an awesome home, relationship, family, the dream life on the outside, but you are living with discontent. So discontent and being on edge, being antsy, being nervous, or having anxiety is your body's sign telling you that something needs to change. And the worst thing, the hardest thing about it is that sometimes, very often, you're making a change from a stable situation that you're used to, and you're making a different change to do something that is going out on a limb. It might be putting yourself on more shaky ground. You might be leaving solid ground to go to shaky ground, knowing that shaky bridge, if you can get across it, is going to get you to a place where you're going to be much more content and happy in life and feel more fulfilled. And that you could be doing what you're actually really meant to do. Or you could meet the actual people in your soul tribe that you're meant to meet. You could find the people you're supposed to collaborate with. You could find the people who need your voice, or your writing, your input, your help, your outlook on life. And if you just stick with what's familiar, you aren't going to find those things. We're meant to seek. Life is meant to be seeking for purpose and happiness and contentment. You're supposed to literally, yes, in today's modern world, we have things that we have to adhere to. We have to pay our bills. But if you can find a way to do that through the things that you love doing, that's the best thing. So I want you to move past this phase where you might have been raised with these limiting beliefs that, oh yeah, it would be a wonderful pipe dream if I could do what I wanted to do or what I enjoy doing and make my living on that. Well, find a way that you can, because the truth is, in today's world, we've got AI. We already, even before AI, had jobs being lost. political changes, just economic changes, just, you know, efficiency changes in the world. It's just, the world is constantly changing. One of the only certainties is change. So if you want to stay on solid ground, you can't always just stay where you are. And the truth is, it may seem really stable where you are, but if you stay too long, or especially if you don't heed your gut feeling, your intuition telling you that you really need to make a change, then it's very likely, especially if you're a person that walks a spiritual path, or wants to be guided in life by some sort of a higher power, even if it's just your higher self. If you don't make those changes and you keep trying to just live in that rut that you're in, either you're going to just be to the point of breakdown or exhaustion at some point, or losing it, or it might even you might just have the rug ripped out from you unexpectedly, and things could land up a lot harsher. You could end up in a lot deeper hole to dig yourself out of than you would have had you just started taking those slow steps. So anytime you realize, I am not content with where I am, the people, places, things, that sort of thing, you got to make a change. You got to start over. Even if you try to overlap and transition from one life to the other, you are the person controlling it. Whether you want it to be a nice, slow wave of change, or you want to get hit with a tsunami, it's totally up to you. You can manifest your life. You don't even have to think about it in a woo-woo manifestation way. You can change your life through actions, but the manifesting side, which truly has a science to it and is not just woo-woo, is that you have to start by changing you in here. You have to start inside. If you change your identity, if you change the way that you think, the way that you approach the world, even if it's something that often could take years. If you're someone that grew up with limiting beliefs, with a difficult family, with difficult economic challenges, in a difficult location that's not where you belong. Maybe you live somewhere where there's a lot of just negative energy, where you are not feeling positive vibes, and just going out and being in your local environment, being around the people and places and things around you, actually lower your vibration. And it's very hard. You might end up spending a lot of time to yourself. I feel for you if that's a circumstance. And thank God in today's modern world, we can all reach out. We have many more ways to reach the people who are our kindred spirits than just being out and about in our own town or the places that we travel each day. I mean, you will meet really cool people you're supposed to cross paths with in person. It is always awesome when it's organic like that, but sometimes you may have gone, you could be sitting there right now thinking, I've never met anyone I really resonated with. I've never met anyone who I felt truly saw me for who I am, and not what they projected on me, or just how they thought people were, or how they misunderstood me even. So there's nothing more valuable to the soul, or to feeling you have a place in the world, than actually being seen and understood and accepted, acknowledged by someone, or by a person, place, thing. You don't want to go through, many people, I've even, in a class I'm taking, someone discussed it today, and it brought up things I've been wrestling with all week, about how some people live behind masks. Some people live, and I'm not just talking about narcissistic or dark triad type of personality type of masks, but I'm talking about good people who only have the best of intentions out there. But you might be a people pleaser, or you might have been yourself when you were young, or at certain points in your life, and things happened to kind of smack you back into your place. You had people, places, and things that tried to influence you, to dim your light, to turn it down, to not be too much for them. And the truth is, if you keep being what all of those people, places, and things want you to be, you're never going to be happy, because you're not being yourself. You're not embodying the you that your heart and your soul and everything in you wants to be. And I can't think of anything more disappointing and more sad than at the end of your life having to look back and say, there were so many things I wanted to be. There were so many things I could have done. There were so many places I could have gone, so many experiences I wanted to have. It's always a heartbreaker to me that my grandmother, she lived to be 93. And for years, she had a very deep interest in genealogy and had researched our family all the way back to where Vikings landed in northern Scotland at Castle Freya, which I've now named my daughter after, and a Viking and a Scottish woman got together, and that was the farthest back start of our family line that she could find. And she dreamed for probably from her 40s into her 90s of going to Ireland and Scotland and seeing our roots. It was actually northern Scotland, I may have said Ireland, and this family was later sent to the people who were sent to Ireland to work on the plantations. So long story, but point is, when she was in bad health, 93, 94 then, she expressed to me that her biggest regret was that her and her sister had talked about going on this trip to see their family roots and to see things, she had never done. She spent her entire life dedicated to raising kids. She raised her children, she raised her grandchildren, she raised her great-grandchildren. This woman was in her 90s babysitting her great-grandchildren every day. This woman dedicated her entire life to family. And the only time that she was herself was at night or in her quiet moments alone, when she read books that she loved so much and escaped into them and dreamed of all the things that she wanted to be and wanted to do in life. And in her 90s, it's still upsetting to me every time I think about it, because this is one of the most amazing, influential people in my life, and she dedicated her entire life to her family and outside things. She never did the things that spoke to her soul, other than her quiet time reading. And I know she's seen Scotland and Ireland now, but I wish she'd gotten to do it in her life too. I would have liked to see that. And I don't want you to get into your old age and to start thinking about, wow, I wish I had left that career and gone after the thing I was really passionate about, because who knows where that would have led me? Who knows how different my life might have been, and how happy and how much more content and satisfied I might have, just the reward I might have found in that. And maybe there was even something or someone out there that needed me to contribute that to the world, that needed me to be in that position. The strings that pull on your heart, the things that you want to do, that speak to you, sometimes they're a slap in the face, but they're more often subtle in the things that you find the joy. Think about, what are the things you do that you partake in that make you completely forget about the past, the future. It puts you right in the now. When you're in that now, is it music? Is it speaking? Is it helping people? Is it children, animals, environment, trees? Is it a person? Is it your family? Is it a job? Is it like a message you always wanted to put out there in the world? Whatever your heart speaks to, you need to be who you aspire to be and do what you feel called to do, or you're not going to be content. You're always going to have some element of discontent. And I think in today's world, we're all so, there's so many expectations upon all of us to, it's not only to do like what's right in society, but to do what your family expected of you, what your partner expected of you, what the people you grew up with, what your hometown, your community expected of you, what your current boss expected of you. But stop and think, did you ever do what you wanted you to do? What you expected from you? Are there things that make you feel empty? Do you have deep-seated anxiety? And I think a lot of us, yes, people certainly have anxiety and depression and all of these things, but one of the reasons I think that has exponentially risen in the world, other than also having more care and there being less of a stigma and that sort of thing, but people are so far removed from the earth, from community, from each other these days. People are all walking around with their blinders on in their own little world of their own little worries, because there's so much to worry about these days. Life is hard. It's harder than ever. There's more things coming at you. You have so much more energy in your field to deal with, whether it's from your cell phones and technology things, whether it's from just more people around you, whether it's from your job or just whatever the demands are on you, whether it's that you feel like you're being closed in on because so many of us have had, financial struggles and job struggles. Think about how many of us have lost our jobs. It's the time. Always look for the silver lining in things. So the past year or so, especially in the United States, so many job fields have been just almost eradicated. Huge lines of long-standing federal funding and state funding, and all the way down to the local communities, have been lost or redirected. People have lost a career that they've been doing for 30 years that they never would have fathomed a day would come it would be unfunded or not be a crucial, essential need in this world. And maybe it is. But if you haven't noticed, if you haven't looked around in recent years, in some ways, evil is taking power in the world. And then in other ways, people like us are combating that. So in the upper levels, we can say you can get pretty down because a lot of the people, places, and things that are controlling this world right now do not care about us. They do not have our highest good in mind. They don't even have the highest good of the environment, of this planet, of the atmosphere. They don't even care about keeping Earth hospitable for human and animal life, to be able to even continue existence on this planet. So many people, and especially those with the money, the control, and the power in this world now, unfortunately have a mindset of, if my family's good, what do I care? And there's a lot more of us out there that do care. But the problem is, we're not rising up into the places we're supposed to come into power. And we need to. You might not be able to do it for your main career. Over the last year and a half, I've been slowly dwindling down my hours in my career that pays me, getting by on as little as I can, and now building up where I started and then kind of had them at a half and half point. And now I recently just completely gave up the corporate career and all that and went completely into the spiritual jobs. So not on YouTube, but doing it, doing psychic readings and healings and things on as a business. So it is tough to make those transitions, but is it more valuable to you to suffer each day doing things and being in a place or being around people, places, or things, doing a job, doing something, being part of a relationship, part of a family, part of something that you don't feel at home in? And maybe you don't even know where you would feel at home. If that's your case, you've got to experiment. You've got to sit down and write out, what are the things I loved to do as a kid? What are the things I enjoyed reading about? What are the things I studied in college that really just excited me? What are some new interests that I've enjoyed Googling and reading about? Or what was a book that inspired me? What is something that my heart just feels called to do. And it might be not be something that's an obvious career field. Many of us are going to have to start our own thing to be able to do what we want to do. And the truth is, I know that sounds scary, but is it really? Because how many millions of jobs have been lost in the last couple years? And I feel so certain that that is a trend that's going to continue for a while, to the point where jobs are, those of us who are meant to have some other calling, maybe it's a nudge. Maybe it is some sort of a universal nudge or a current nudge that's telling us, go ahead, take that leap and do what you really feel called to do and what you think you need to contribute to the world or what you'd find joy in. And keep trying these things. You may have to try several different things that interest you and try them just out of joy. Try your best to go into it not worrying about, I know I have to pay these bills next week. I know I have this to take care of. I only have 1 month to come up with $4,000 or I'm going to lose everything. It literally might be that dire. And if you're in that circumstance, I am not telling you to quit your job and just jump to the other thing, but find a way to do it all and to slowly make that change. If you are a person who can handle a quick change, then it can be drastic. I've had some times where I made such a drastic change. One example was a time I was wrongfully terminated from a job that I loved and put my whole heart and soul into, and it was just like, it was complete having the rug ripped out from under you. Like, I remember just saying, could I ask what I did? Because I knew I hadn't done anything. And the truth is, I don't even have resentment toward the person who did that to me, who I was so loyal to for too long and kept getting that nudge to leave, that something wasn't right and I didn't feel content there and I didn't really trust that boss, and saw some resentment growing between us, that sort of thing. Even though I did a great job at that job and I felt like I was contributing important things to my community, I always felt like a fish out of water, like this isn't where I belong, and there's something else. There are more things I'm meant to be doing. And I didn't know a lot of detail, but I just knew it had something to do with public speaking, with getting a message out there, with saying all the things that I had held back my whole life. Because so many of us, we had it beat into us through several levels of society, starting with your family, your whole life, and then going into school. If you were different, if you had ideas outside of the norm, that sort of thing, people will just constantly keep trying to beat the unique out of you. You know, they're going to try to dim your light. Many people aren't comfortable to put themselves out there, to really raise their voice and to be vulnerable to the world. And we need more of that. I think if more of us start doing that, you know, I've recorded videos, just not to keep using myself as an example, but I've started a YouTube channel 4 times before. I've recorded hundreds of videos, and I've probably posted 30 of them. And it's sad in hindsight because some of these messages were just so clear to me and kept coming to me, and I knew, like, there's someone out there that needs this help or needs to hear somebody understands you, somebody sees you, somebody is going through a similar thing out there, or somebody wants to help you, somebody's there for you. And I could have been doing that for years. I could have gotten out of the job that was painful to get up and go to every day, that it was just dragging myself through every minute of it. I just got to the point where I literally could hardly physically get out of bed and make myself do that work anymore. And it was something that I found rewarding at one time, but you don't need to be the same person your whole life. And especially, maybe you've just had a recent change or you've grown and evolved, but especially if there's something that you've always felt you wanted to explore, do it. 2026 is the year to do it. This is a fortuitous year to make a change. The world is changing so drastically right now. So many jobs are changing, being lost. Economies, there are countries flipping, world powers flipping. There's pandemics out there. There's so much going on. And there's so much negativity in the world. And I think the most important thing that the world needs right now is for those of us who aspire to spread positivity every day and to be a light in the world, you need to be a lighthouse. You need to do it, and you need to do it now. Even if you can only do it a few hours a week, even if you can only volunteer on occasion, put a video out there, write something. If there's a book in you, write it, get it out. It's going to be hard right now because it's not going to make money right away, but then it might make you money for the rest of your life. Or it might create a community of people who look to you and are just so grateful for your help that it makes you realize, wow, that took so much for me to get my book out there. But I feel so at peace and at home now that I know that my experience or my message or what I had to contribute actually did some good out there. And I just can't imagine that you could have any other better feeling. If you're a person that values that sort of thing, having a purpose, helping people, places, things, animals, the world, if you don't do it, you don't want to die with that regret. The biggest regrets in life are the things left unsaid and undone. So if you love someone, tell them you love them today. If you miss someone, tell them you miss them. If you have something that's eating you alive about someone you care about that you need to discuss with them, discuss it. Even if you're afraid to bring it up, even if you are such a people pleaser that you were taught to be a good boy or a good girl and you were taught not to trouble people with your feelings or how they affected you, do it, because it is better than letting it eat you alive. Spend time today or in the near future, spend time every day if you can, thinking about, how do I feel? I'm not going to think about the past. I'm not going to think about the future. I'm going to sit with myself right here, right now, where I am, and I'm going to think about, how am I feeling today? Am I happy? Am I anxious? Is there something pulling at me because I know something's off in my life? And if you follow those nudges, even if you can only do it at your speed, slowly or quick changes, do it. You're going to be so happy. If you do want to make a quick change, one of the best ways to do that is by changing from inside. I've had times where I had absolutely no choice. I was a single mom with 2 children going through a divorce, afraid of losing my home, and I got fired, wrongfully terminated from a job that I put my heart and soul into. And for a couple days, I cried. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. And I remember back then, and this was about 6 years ago, I remember the day or like the thing that clicked in my head that realized, like, wait a minute, you always thought that this measly little job in your hometown that paid you $47,000 a year was it. I never thought that I was worthy of some job that paid more, or a job that just appreciated me and recognized the worth that I brought to the table. And you might feel the same way. If you feel you're not being recognized or acknowledged or appreciated in any facet of your life, you got to bring that up and you have to try to change it. And you might have to make changes that you don't even want to make. You might have to leave a job or a place or a person that you don't want to leave. But you have to weigh it out. Does having that person, place, or thing bring you more joy? And it's not even just about the joy. In the times that you have that person, place, or thing in your hand, it might bring you the joy and contentment. But then in the times when they're not right there in your hand, if you don't walk away from an interaction with someone feeling positive, if you walk away and after you think about it later, you think you're going ruminating on what they said or overanalyzing it, assessing, thinking, did they mean something by that? Or was that underhanded? Was that meant to make me feel a way? Chances are it was. And you have to be really aware, because the only way, back up a step. If you're listening to this right now, you are a person that is supposed to do something important. And you may know what it is, or you may just have a rough inkling of what type or what area or field this is in. Or, for a long time for me, it was just envisioning myself speaking to large groups of people. I knew I would have to have some platform, some stage, some way to reach people to make their lives better and to get my story out there. Those of us who've gone through, you might be sitting there thinking, I've had a really rough life. I can't imagine this is the life I ever would have picked for myself. But you get to the point where you can find the beauty in those things, where you can find the lessons in those troubles and in those hardships, and you can share that with other people. Maybe it took you a decade to recover from a narcissistic relationship, or to leave a narcissistic relationship. And maybe one of the biggest regrets of your life, just as an example, is the time you wasted of your life that you could have been building yourself or bettering the world, doing better for your kids, doing better for your job, doing better for whatever, yourself, loving yourself more. And you literally let someone, some person, place, or thing in your life bring you to a point where you just didn't even recognize who you were anymore. And it might have even gotten to the point where you were sitting there with a decision like, I'm so miserable and am completely lost. I don't even feel like I'm me anymore. I don't even recognize who I am. When I was in a long relationship with a narcissist, I can look back at those pictures and it's shocking. I didn't even look like the same person. They were draining me 24/7 for so many years. And some of you might even be your whole life if it goes back to your family. And then you might have married into a similar dynamic as someone in your family or in your life that you dealt with. You may have spent your entire life being drained by people. And I'm not necessarily saying they're a narcissist, but just an example of one of the things I've frequently dealt with. If you're an empathic person, you're going to attract them. You're going to attract them like a moth to a flame. So you got to learn how to have boundaries, and you got to learn how to deal with that. And you've got to develop such a strong sense of yourself and know when to shut out those people, places, and things that throw you off your equilibrium. You just can't deal with that. I don't care if it's your mom or your dad, your husband, your wife, your child, your grandmother, your boss. If you don't take the steps to make these hard realizations and make these difficult changes, even if it means, I've had 3 times in my life, for example, where I've literally lost everything and had a hard year or 2 climb out of that. But I know if I had not gotten away from those people, places, or things, that I probably would be dead by now. I certainly would not be here speaking to you, certainly. And you might be in a situation like that where you just literally are quietly crying yourself to sleep at night next to your partner. Or you can hardly go to sleep at night because you don't know how many more months you can pay your rent or your mortgage. I've been there. I've been there for all of them. And if this message is for you, you have too. And so many of us have. And I think what's really important in the world right now is that the more of us that start making these changes and start putting our message out in the world, start, even just if you can't make a total life change, but you decide every day when I'm out doing my things at the market, taking my walk, at work, whatever, I'm not going to judge people. I'm always going to just come at people from taking the high road. I'm going to do my best to understand others and to learn to better understand myself. I'm going to reflect and look within at myself and at the things that, to have those hard realizations with myself, that sort of thing. It'll drastically change your life, and it'll be for the better. And a lot of these times, these major changes, there is an uphill battle in coming to the realization, and then in first enacting those changes. You will have a transition period. If you do find yourself in a position like I did, where you've suddenly lost your job for no reason, unwarranted, and you just literally have no idea what you're going to do, that's the hardest. And the best answer I can give you there is that it's going to take a sudden, radical inner shift to deal with that. So for an example, and I know my example is not going to be yours, but try to find the pearl of wisdom in this to make it apply to you. For example, when I found myself going through a divorce and a custody battle, and my boss knew how much I loved my job and also knew how badly I needed this job to not lose my children in court and to look like I was stable, had a good job, supported my kids, was, all of this, the most important things my entire life I was fighting for. And this person, this very narcissistic, sociopathic person, literally was going through a hard time in her life at this time. Her husband had been diagnosed with cancer and things weren't looking good. And she took it out on me for months, until the point where she finally found a way to wrongfully terminate me. And it was so hard. It was so hard to spend as few days as possible just utterly crushed that someone that I had been their reliable sidekick and done everything I could to support their career would do that to me at a time when they knew I could have lost my children and my home and everything because of that decision that they made. So I found myself in this position. I had some savings, but not enough for a long time as a single mom. And I found myself at, where do you even go to apply for a job when you have to be the person to take your kids to school and to pick them up, or you can only have limited hours. It's not even an option for you to work a 9-to-5 or an 8-to-4 job. When you find yourself in a really difficult position like that, you're going to have to do this radical inner shift. So just my example, how I did this. This job was in community development and grant writing and doing community and environmental projects. And so I thought, well, I'm going to look back at all my past skills. I'm going to look online to see what other kind of jobs I could do. And I'm going to decide on the one that'll be the quickest and easiest transition for me. So even though for me it wasn't my first choice, it wasn't the thing that brought me joy, it wasn't finding my purpose, I had to do an intermediate, huge paradigm shift to do the thing that was going to save my butt in the immediate based on the skills I already had. And then at the same time, once I got on stable ground, to go back and start training myself and working and getting the education and practicing the things to move into the thing that was actually what I wanted to be doing, which is what I'm working at doing now. So what I did was I decided, well, I'm going to be a grants consultant. And I know darn well that since I was so dedicated to this, had the best of intentions, and was wrongfully terminated in a position where I truly just cared about it and this person that did this to me with all my heart. When you got nothing but good karma and you're coming from a good place, you have less to worry about. If you start taking the steps toward what you want to do and what you need to accomplish, and have the faith and ask for the guidance, ask for the help, whether you believe in God, metaphysics, the universe, any other creator, your inner self, your higher self, maybe you just rely on yourself, whatever your personal philosophy is, go within and do what's right for you. And you've got to eliminate anyone, people, places, or things that are holding you back, and literally get to manifesting. So what I did was, after a couple of days of crying, what the heck am I going to do? I have no idea, and I have a couple months before my kids and I will be homeless and lose everything. What I had to do was decide, hey, looks like the closest thing to what I've been doing is being a grants consultant. So as of today, mindset shift, I'm a grants consultant. I'm going to get out my fanciest clothes I had from work, which were business suits, blazers, that sort of thing. So even before I had the job as a grants consultant, I got up every day and told myself I was a grants consultant. I put on my blazers and my business suits, and I did everything. I went to the market, I picked up my kids at school, and I literally lived the life in the mindset of being a grants consultant. I volunteered and did it for free to get to network and to get to paid positions. I applied to hundreds of jobs. And the funny thing was, none of them really were quite right, but I had this unwavering faith that the right thing was just going to show up. And one day I woke up only 2.5 months after I was wrongfully terminated from this job that I had did my best and put my heart and soul into it. I woke up one morning with a message from a headhunter who said, hey, I just happened to see your profile on LinkedIn, and you have this really unique, odd set of different work skills and experiences that is exactly what this client is looking for. Most often, these things are going to come to you in a way that you never could have fathomed. I thought I was eventually going to find the right job from a listing or a website or a newspaper or in my network. I never dreamed that I was going to wake up to a job trying to recruit me without me ever even handing in a resume. And I think that it took a couple months, but within 3 months after that wrongful termination, a job landed in my lap that was exactly what I wanted and needed, in a position where I was able to do some good work in the world that was very rewarding for a time, and to make some major environmental and energy sector changes that were moving things in the direction that I think is ultimately going to help the world with global warming and just where we need to be and how concerned we should be about this planet and human life, animal life. It fell into my lap, and 3 months later, I was making almost 3 times what that job that wrongfully terminated me made. And I ended up doing the best of my entire life. Now, there's a downside to this story, too. After a couple years of success, great success, things I never imagined, I was even proudest moment of that career. I was asked to speak about my work and my experience on a national association's podcast in my sector. And I have never been so proud in my life. I only shared that I did this with 2 friends and my mother. And one of them was kind of fake, complimentary about it, but the other 2, absolutely, I was just shocked. They both just didn't even really say anything. They didn't even say that's great, nothing. They both just changed the subject. And that was a defining moment in my life, that after I had gone through all of that, pulled myself out of the gutter, out of poverty again, which I'm doing for the 4th time right now. Sometimes we have to learn these lessons multiple times. Some of us are more stubborn than others. I pulled myself out of that, and I was so proud of myself, and I was so proud that after a whole life of nobody seeing the worth in my message, that I found a place where the things that I could contribute were appreciated and useful, meaningful. So I want that for you too. I don't want to, I'm digressing, I'm going too far, so I don't want to talk too much longer, but I want you to find that thing for you too that makes you happy. And I want you to know, if you have a defining moment like that, where you have people who are there when you're down and they seem to support you, but then when you're up and you share something positive with them, you don't get support, or you're just taken aback or so disappointed or frustrated or hurt by the reaction or the lack of reaction that you get. You've got to start putting up boundaries with those specific people, places, and things. Because if you don't, literally that's a sign telling you these are the people limiting you. These are the people, places, and things that are limiting your growth and your movement in life. They're keeping you stuck, stagnant, and in this hamster wheel that you've been trying to get out of for a long time. And I want you to get out of that. I want you to get out of that. And I want you to do things that later in your life you can look back and say, I am so happy that I had that moment where I heard this message, or where a thought came to me, where I overheard walking past someone in the market some comment that one sentence made something click in my head. And I hope that something I say today might make things click for people, that just completely changes your life for the better, and you're so content. I want as many of you out there to reach high places in life on your highest timelines, and to contribute beautiful, meaningful things to the world, because that is how good is going to defeat evil in this world. We have to keep putting as much good out there as we can, and the more of us doing that, the less chance that this world has of turning to the negative. So keep that up. Whatever you feel you're meant to do or create, embody that. Decide who you are, even if you're not coming from a bad place, but you just feel it's time for a change or a new phase of your life. Find yourself and embody that thing that brings you the peace and contentment that you've been looking for and searching for. So you've got to make the changes in your daily life. It all has to start from within. Even though you'll have to make steps if you need to apply for a new job, move to a new town, move to a new home, leave a person, place, or thing, there's going to be physical things involved there. But it all starts with you waking up and thinking about visualizing that and how you might do it, or just even visualize, go full Neville Goddard. Look him up if you need to. Feeling is the Secret is a great place to start with that book. Literally, when you wake up first thing in the morning, when you're meditating, when you're going to bed at night, in your quiet times, find yourself, get yourself into a peaceful, calm state. And without distractions, think about the feeling of being where you ultimately want to be. So you have to be in the now, not the past, not the future. You have to be in the present right now. But you've got to reach out and pull the future closer to you. That in the time now, you're laying in bed thinking, I feel so content. I've never been so happy. Now that I've achieved this thing or gotten to this place, this person, place, or thing, now that I am where I've always wanted to be, or I've started taking steps toward it, I have this thing in my life now that makes me so happy and brings me so much peace. And you literally, the secret is not only like, some people think manifestation is all woo-woo, like the visualization, the journaling, the metaphysical steps. Some people think it's all the active physical steps you're taking in the real world. I think it's a combination of all of them. But the number one place to start is you have to start inside. You have to change the way you think, the way you see yourself. You might have to work a couple years when you start making these changes. It might take you years, especially if these things were ingrained in you since childhood, to change your mindset. I don't want to go on too much longer because I've talked way too long now, but I have so much more I could share, and I really want you to know these things, and I hope that some of you needed to hear these things and can put them into action in your life to be more content, to reduce your anxiety, to start making the changes toward changing your life, or even just sitting with yourself and figuring out what you want to do different. So just kind of last thing to lead with, I mentioned at the very beginning that there was another chorus or second verse to the song that I really liked. And then I digressed and went into the first part. So I want to leave you with this, because you might need a little inspiration. Second verse of Starting Over is, this might not be an easy time, when there's rivers to cross and hills to climb. Some days we might fall apart, and some nights might feel cold and dark. But nobody wins when nobody's losing, and in times our hearts are the ones worth choosing. Someday we'll look back and smile, and know it was worth every mile. So that's the point I want to make. That has been going through my head all week, and I think it's because so many of you out there are on a rough road right now, and you might not even have been able to clear the fog to see how to get out of it yet. But just try to bring your mind to the present. Try to, most importantly, to calm your nervous system, to find a state of equilibrium and peace and calm. If you do it through meditating or through doing just something that you love, being somewhere that you love, or recalling some time, go back in your mind to the place of your life where you remember feeling at peace. It might be like your backyard as a kid. It might be fishing. It might be, for me, of course, it's all nature stuff, but it might be like playing in a band. It might be speaking on a stage. It might be a person, place, or thing that you just really loved. So go back there, live in that moment, and feel that joy and that contentment and that peace, and spread that, and do your best to embody that version of you every day. And you can radically change your life even just starting from there. Even if you don't have the money, the means right now to do the things you need to do, you can figure out a way to start changing it from the inside, so that you'll be shocked. It might take some time. There might be a little lag period there, but things, if you are aware and keep your eyes open and be open to the fact that the things you're wishing for might come to you, you're going to have ideas in your head like, oh, this is how this might come from this person or this place or this direction. And I'm telling you, almost always, you are going to have so many ideas like, oh, I think this might work. And it's not. It's going to be something totally out of left field that you often just never would have even imagined. But it'll often be just even so much better than you ever could have imagined, because we're divine, we have the divine in us, but we aren't all-knowing. We don't know the best way to get to where we're supposed to be and do the things we're